You're now live.
Hey guys!
Hey!
Am I like going like this on camera? Okay. So we're gonna dye my hair. I'm gonna dye my hair.
You are.
With
You've
the
done it
master.
before.
I've done it before, but I did it at home without the guidance of the guru. So let's talk through colour selection first. I think the number one thing that I was most surprised about when first talking to you about picking a colour was the fact that I was in the blondes.
Yes.
And I'm obviously quite dark.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, your base colour, your own hair colour, is actually quite dark, but you don't want to be as dark as that naturally.
Okay.
And what your hair does when you use a slightly lighter shade, because you are dark, it throws off kind of chestnut or warmth.
Right.
That's how you kind of end up with this kind of beautiful, kind of caramelly brown.
Okay.
So when we were discussing a few minutes before, we decided that we're going to go half a shade darker than you were last time.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep this root shadow that you've got. So you'll be a little bit lighter than you are naturally,
Okay.
but it won't start to look like one blanket of colour.
Okay.
And then surprisingly, Emily and I were chatting just about Shade Shot Plus. Shade Shot Plus is a way of adding pigment, a little bit of tone into your permanent kit. And
Yeah, because you originally, when you came up, said, let's do chestnut. And I said, should we?
Well, the thing is, right, you are quite neutral in skin tone.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, you are cooler rather than you are warmer. Like if you wore really red hair, it would have a tendency to make you look flush pink.
Okay.
So although your leaning is towards cool, what you've got here is you've got a fairly neutral colour. It's a warm colour, but it's got a coolness to it. And of course, when we mix in smoky brunette to your level 6 base colour, it will give you a slightly more, kind of like a muted kind of colour rather than a bright kind of chestnut colour.
Okay.
And I think what you were saying was really interesting. Like when we've you've had the full salon experience and you've had balayage or highlights. What you love about that is the coolness that you get from having those kind of blonde pieces in your hair.
But also I think seasonally it's important as well, because I love it when we in summer get a little bit blonder.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little bit tanner. So I think it's about considering your skin tone at the time, isn't it, as well?
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, I think light and darkness is the thing that you can really discuss seasonally.
Yeah.
I think you can also discuss tone.
Okay.
But I think it's really important, however light or dark that you go, to complement the eye colour and the skin tone, is to stay within the worlds of I'm a warm kind of tone or I'm a cool tone.
Okay.
And you're obviously a cool tone.
That's what they said.
Cool girl, cool tone.
Okay, so let's ask the question, what if you don't use a Shade Shot Plus? What if is that something you're suggesting that everybody use?
No, you're still going to get 100% grey coverage,
Okay.
no ammonia, no PPD.
Okay.
The formulation of the colour has conditioners locked into it that are conditioning while it's colouring.
Right.
But you'll just not get that very personalised tone.
Okay.
You'll get something that's a beautiful colour and rich and glossy and shiny, but it won't have that extra kind of hit of a boost of pigment tone in there.
Makes sense. Okay, are we just diving in here?
Should we start?
Okay, so are you gonna guide me through this?
Well, I think we should start by putting your gloves on.
Okay, gloves first, guys.
Yeah.
Gloves first. Safety first.
I've also, it's really important, especially on kind of really quite long hair, to really give it a good brush through first, because that will mean it's a much easier application.
Okay.
And with an easier application, you get a more even finished result.
And then for people that don't have a robe at home,
An old towel, an old t-shirt.
Okay.
I mean, by the nature of it, even if I've been applying for many, many years.
Yeah.
Kind of slightly gets everywhere.
Okay.
We've also got in the kit. There's also a little stain removing wipe that means you can kind of go around your hairline, your ears, if you drop anything anywhere.
Okay. Okay, let's talk American, because when I first did this, I thought, am I doing this correct? Where exactly is this put?
So put it. I always put it on the back of your hand.
Okay.
One finger.
Okay.
And then start to kind of just kind of very gently massage it around your hairline.
Okay, so it's okay if it touches the hair?
Yeah, I mean,
A
look,
little
if it's
bit.
touching the baby hairs,
Yeah.
you know, that's fine. If you get it really into the hairline,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
it could act as a barrier against
Okay.
covering grey hair.
And how far in do you want to go? Like
Yeah,
into
that's
the
good.
skin?
Yeah,
That's
go
good.
into there.
Okay.
And then I always like to do the top of the ears,
Okay. Oh yeah, that's so true.
because I think that always takes a little brown pigment.
Okay, so bring it all the way down.
Yeah.
Okay. This is good because honestly, I was like, oh man, I don't know where I'm supposed to put this.
I mean, I think
I didn't know if I was supposed to put it like on my actual kind of party.
Please, we're definitely on your party. I think it.
This
You
is,
know,
I'm asking the moron questions.
no,
because I have
please,
the moron.
no, it's really good. The thing is, I think for people that colour their hair regularly,
Yeah.
they know where they're staying.
Okay.
You know,
Oh,
like,
okay.
a lot of people say to me, this bit here, like on the sideburns, is horrendous if it stains, because it looks like you've kind of got a little bit of a...
But you're
Side
saying that
burn.
even if you do stain, that the stain removing wipe
I
is
mean,
going to
look,
help you out with
it
that.
all helps.
Okay.
It's, you know, it's not kind of completely foolproof.
Yeah.
You know, what you want to do is try and not get any on the skin, or try to get as little on the skin as possible.
Okay. Okay. And we have a lot left over. So
So
how
what-
much? I mean, there's a lot of protective barrier. I think that's what threw me off, is because there's so much barrier cream in there. I thought I haven't used enough.
Emily,
of
I'm
it.
very generous like that.
I know you are. I'm just asking the obvious question.
Maybe with, you know, I mean, look, if you're using really dark shades,
Yeah.
I'd also say go really round your hairline.
Okay, so that's
I'd
good
also
to know.
say when you put the colour on,
Yeah.
you can reapply barrier cream if you see any staining straight away.
Okay. And then just maybe wipe that off a bit with a tissue and then put the barrier cream on, and then should you save this for the end?
I tend to use
Thank you.
I tend to use that the stain removing white I use as soon as the application's on,
Okay.
around the hairline a little bit, and then maybe put a bit more barrier cream on.
Okay.
But I really try and save that for the end, because the truth is, when you've washed it off, if you've really got a heavy stain mark around your hairline, you really want to keep it for that, to try and ease some of that staining.
Okay. Groovy.
So you're going to use these three together.
Okay.
So that's your base colour
Yeah.
and a smoky brunette Shade Shot Plus.
Okay. And you mix this first, right? The color activator and
A
the...
to B.
Okay. Alright, no. As I just completely messed up. The pressure of doing this on camera is intense. Okay. I'm just putting that in. Just make sure
Another
you
little
get all
tip.
of it. Yeah.
It's always good to squeeze from the...
Top down.
Yeah.
Like toothpaste.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
you
it
can
all.
tell you've done this before.
Just a few times.
The press. So do you mix this first?
Nope.
No, so you can put the shade shot in immediately.
Shade Shot Plus goes in immediately.
Okay. And I have to say that I used this when I did it at home, and I'd used the colour before, but I hadn't used the Shade Shot Plus. So this is my second time with the colour, first time using the Shade Shot Plus, and it was such a difference as to how just the tones in my hair. It was just such a massive difference.
I mean, what's really unique about Shade Shot Plus is it works differently on everybody.
Yeah.
So where you've got natural highs and lows or natural grey, the Shade Shot Plus will take differently
Yeah.
on all of those different natural strands.
Okay.
So you end up with a colour that is completely bespoke.
Nice. Okay. So I'm just shaking this up. I feel like I'm on the set of American Psycho.
It looks like you'd be good at a cocktail.
Yeah, that was a dream after the Tom Cruise movie, wasn't it? Okay, so how vigorously, how long am I supposed to shake this?
If you just look at that now, it's completely absorbed.
Okay.
If there were strands of colour in there or something that looked a little bit gloopy or lumpy, it
Okay.
wouldn't be so great, but yeah.
Okay, so it's
It's a
pretty
very
easy.
good, it's a very good cocktail hand.
Well, there we go. So then I just, okay, let's talk strategy.
Yeah.
Before I start going on this. 2 questions. So obviously I have super long hair.
Yep.
And
And that's a much more difficult application
yes,
than if you've got
A,
short hair.
but do I need 2 of these?
You shouldn't do. There's enough saturation in there to do the whole head.
Okay, so it's all about making sure you distribute it correctly, so
Totally.
that you have all of it.
Yeah.
So basically, no matter what hair length you are, you think probably you're unless you know.
Look, the thing is, you're only colouring that much of the hair. You're only colouring where the regrowth is to start with.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, as we've discussed on you, because you like this lighter end,
Yeah.
we're only going to pull it through to the ends for a few minutes. And if we don't get all of the ends, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
What you want to do is make sure that you've covered all of your dark roots. So how you've got to think about that is, you're not colouring that much hair, you're colouring that much hair.
Okay.
So when you put it into that context, it makes the amount in the bottle more relevant, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah?
Okay. And I will also say, just for the record, that the reason that I started colouring at home is because I am 38 years old and I've started to get grey hairs. So I don't have as much time to go into the salon as much, and this is just really useful to also carry on with me, to have to do it if I'm in a hotel somewhere as well, and I find that coming up. But one of the biggest problems that I had putting this on for the first time and not having any professional advice was the fact that I completely missed the 3 grey hairs that I have. So
I mean, that would be a starting point, starting where the grey is.
Well, look, you can see right here. So
Yeah.
I have it right in the back.
Yeah, like on the crown.
Yeah, so it is really difficult for me to see.
Yeah, I can show you a couple of things that make it a little bit easier.
Thank you.
And I mean, look, you know, in total transparency and honesty,
Yeah.
it simply isn't as easy
Yeah.
colouring your own hair as it is if you've got somebody doing it for you.
Of course not. Yeah.
But you know, as you said, and I think it's really important for me to say this, you are a salon client. We love you.
Yes.
We love you coming in.
Feeling is mutual.
But you know, with your work schedule, the amount that you travel,
Yeah.
you know, what for me, that's the thing that's really important for me is that you get a really amazing hair colour all the time.
Yeah.
Not where you feel slightly trapped in between hair appointments.
Okay.
So your colour to add a little balayage or something, we're always going to do that in the salon.
Yeah.
But it would be, it's really good for you to have that in your toolkit, that you can think, right, I've got to do a film or I'm somewhere, and I feel conscious that this grey hair's showing.
Yeah.
So you know, to frame it like that, you're not going to be colouring your hair at home for the rest of your life.
No, and I don't. And actually, and we were just talking about that before we went live, for the fact that we were talking about what we were going to do for summer, and that might be completely different. But for me, winter is usually really quite low maintenance. I don't see you guys as, or I probably won't now that I have this, I won't see you as much because I go dark and it's easy. And in summer, it's a little bit more difficult because we're including highlights and balayage and things like that. So this though, I just feel like even discovering this and being able to use things like the Shade Shot Plus and kind of customizing it a little bit more just makes me feel a little bit more confident about my colour and doing it at home. And it does actually kind of feel like you're doing it because the quality of the product is so excellent in comparison to what I've heard is out there in the market.
Yeah.
And again, full disclosure, this is the first time I've coloured my hair with something from a box, but from what I've heard and from the responses that I had on Instagram from when I did it on stories, people were really quite complimentary in how it turned out, how shiny it was, how healthy it looked.
I mean, that's one of the main reasons that I moved into this kind of area, because when I was talking to people, you know, maybe people that I would never see in a salon, they were so ultimately disappointed with the results of anything that they could do at home. And I really felt that the balance of conversation needed to change between, let's say, a manufacturer selling something and an expert trying to give somebody the best hair colour for them.
Right.
Okay. So,
dive in.
in.
Okay, so, should I shake it again? It's been sitting here for a few minutes.
Done.
Okay. Alright. Best practices.
So the first thing is make sure that you're getting the product to the end of the nozzle so you can see there that it's there.
Okay.
I'm just going to guide you a little bit if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
What I would do with you is, this is where the greys are. I'd start by just squeezing and dotting.
Okay.
Squeezing and dotting, squeezing and dotting. But like
right down the hairline.
Right down the hairline.
Okay.
The part. And then with your other hand, or you can put that down, I'd just kind of gently massage that in.
Okay.
Yeah. What that will do is, that's the first part that you've covered, so that will start to work on the greys immediately.
Okay.
And it also gives you a good starting point. So now you've got a starting point to work from.
Okay, amazing.
I mean, most of the time, what I suggest is that people section their hair off into 4 sections and clip.
Okay.
But as you said, your particular problem here was that you didn't feel that you'd covered those. I would always start where you feel the grey hair's more resistant.
Okay.
And for most people, it's on the hairline.
Okay. So why are you sectioning the hair for this?
It's just less hair to deal with and a
Okay.
better pattern for you to be able to follow.
Okay.
What I also tend to find is a lot of people aren't colouring the whole of the head. They're
Okay.
colouring their hairline or they're parting, quick fix.
Okay, gotcha. And it's important to do that so your colour looks even, isn't it?
Totally.
Okay. Or at least for up here.
Yeah.
So you don't want it to look patchy.
Now, quite often we start down here,
Okay.
but again, for you and with having long hair, I'd take the comb,
Yeah.
I'd start on this side,
Okay. This side.
I'd start on this side, and I'd just take a section like that, just
Okay.
comb it back, and then do this dotting again.
Okay, so you're really just going to dot all of the roots for the whole thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can start to pour it on now, but I find dotting just gives you a little bit more control of the amount of product that you're getting
Is
on.
that too much though?
No, that's good.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to put my gloves on just so that I can just give you a little...
Probably a good idea.
So maybe rather than rubbing around like that,
Yeah.
it's more of a...
Alright, like a proper dot. Okay.
What you're doing is you're pushing it into the root.
Okay.
When you go like that, you tend
Yeah.
to lift the hair up,
Okay.
and then you're onto your next section.
Okay. So you're just like...
You can do it with your finger
Can
or
you?
a comb.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm over with the comb. So how are you suggesting doing it like that?
You need a little bit less hair than that.
Okay. So if I'm like here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
And then just keep combing it.
Keep going.
Someone's asked if you always apply the colour on dry hair?
Yes,
Always.
always. Yeah, that's it.
Dot.
Do you
people.
feel the difference?
Dot. Yeah. Okay. And that's quite swift actually to do that. Is that little enough or more?
Perfect.
Okay. And it doesn't need to be a perfect line, does it?
Nope. I mean, of course, the neater the section, the
Yeah.
neater the application.
Okay.
But, you know, you're in a unique position. You don't really have that much grey. I mean,
yeah.
if you're much
I'm pretty
more,
lucky at the moment.
if you're much more heavily grey, then you know your application is everything because you want to cover every single grey hair.
That was a fast thought. Sorry guys, be
That's
more
good.
careful.
Now, while you're here,
Yeah.
this is a good tip. Just give you
I
this.
feel a bit like Jem the Rocker Morgan. It's a good look.
Dot your hairline.
Ah, okay. And this is why you're putting that beautiful barrier cream on there.
And then that is a more of a downward sweep from there. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And
People
that's just
all,
so you're being careful not to get it on your skin as well.
and also as well, this is where
Sorry,
people are
Liz.
mostly grey and they
Okay.
always say, it didn't cover on the sides, I couldn't get coverage, I can still see greys. It's generally down to application more
Okay.
than the product not covering.
Okay.
Because if the product covers grey hair here or here, it's
Yeah.
going to cover grey hair there.
Okay.
That said, that can be a very resistant piece, but you know, really careful application on the hairline for me is always really important.
Okay, perfect. Keep going.
Keep going.
Josh, we've had a lot of people ask if they've got really resistant greys, should they leave the colour on for longer? Does that make a difference?
To generalise, I would say yes. If you leave it on 10 minutes longer, you'll get more. You'll get more deposit. But you know, everybody's hair is different. So what I would say is, you know, really concentrate on your application. Really get a really thorough, dense application. Leave it 20 minutes, and if you think that you are still not getting the coverage that you want, then leave it longer. Right, you're on to your second section.
Okay.
I'll just take that clip out.
Thank you. And ideally...
I've cleaned one there for you, Emma. You can dot
Okay. So how long, if somebody's doing this at home, I mean obviously we're talking through it, so we're going to take a little bit longer than the average person, but how, are you working on a time schedule? Like, are you kind of crunching, you're like, I need to get this done because it's
No.
going to develop so quickly?
No.
Okay.
I would say the more grey you are and
Yeah.
the more resistant your hair is, the more thorough the application needs to be.
Okay.
Smaller sections will mean you're not missing any bits, so you're getting exactly the same density of colour throughout the whole hair. But yeah, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it will continue working for up to 40 minutes
Okay.
in the bottle, so it's not losing any strength if you're
Okay.
taking longer to apply.
Okay.
We've got a lot of people asking how to apply to the back of the head.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get.
I mean, that is not easy. I mean, let's just be really authentic and honest here. Dealing with the back of the head is nowhere near as easy as dealing with the front. I've got some tips and tricks there that over the years, actually my clients have taught me how they've coped with dealing with the back of the head.
But I am reaching, like when I'm doing the dotting, I am kind of
You're getting right back to the crown,
right with
yeah.
the crown, yeah.
So I would just say here, dot the hairline now,
Okay.
just to make sure that you've got all of that covered.
Someone's asked whether you recommend changing your colour tone from winter to summer, or do you think you go along with your...
No, I think you can change up, you can dial up the lightness or darkness and the tone, but in most cases what I'm looking for is a colour that looks incredibly natural, really believable.
Yeah.
So I would say always stay within the family group that you are. If you're in warms, play around with the warm. If you're in cool, play around with the cools. You can cross over, but you know, sometimes it's very hard to kind of get a finite colour that's really suitable for your skin tone and eye colour.
That's not very defined, is it?
You're good at it though. It's funny, somebody once said to me that was colouring her hair at home, she said, I was really bad at it before I had children, and then after having children I was really good. I think I was doing somebody else's hair. I was getting a little bit of practice in.
That's brilliant. Okay,
So we're on to the back.
I mean, you're really seeing me at my best here.
Right, so we've sectioned one section off here.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so this is where it gets more difficult.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I'm just going to do one demo for you so
Okay.
you can feel what I'm doing.
Okay.
You're starting here from the nape,
Okay.
and you feel the nozzle on your scalp,
Yeah.
and you're running from there down to the nape.
Oh, that's pretty
From
easy.
there down to the nape. From there down to the nape.
So you're sectioning with the nozzle?
With the nozzle.
Okay.
But you just need to kind of rub that in a little bit.
Okay, so do you rub it in in between? Do you or you do like 3 or 4 and then rub it in?
Well, probably on your hair because it's quite thick. You could do 3 or 4.
Okay, so you don't have to nozzle
No.
rub. Okay, but I can do that now.
Yeah.
And
That's
what- is
it. You're rubbing in, going
Oh, you're
backwards.
actually rubbing. So are you like running your hands through
Yeah.
your hair? Okay.
But what you don't want to do is like drag the colour
Yeah.
down the hair shape. I can see what you're doing is you're pulling your hair back with your
Yeah.
fingers at the root.
Okay. So kind of like you're doing that sexy like flirty thing. Okay, so do I need to do more over here?
Yeah, because you have only really now done about 5 centimetres, so you
Okay.
need to work all the way up to the
All the
crown.
way up to the crown. Okay, so from where? From about.
Yeah, because it's hard for you to see. So
Yeah.
I'd start there
Okay, it's right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then work back.
And then we'll just switch.
Keep going, yeah.
Someone asks,
Okay.
when should you go from semi-permanent dye to permanent? What's the difference in terms of regrowth?
So in theory, a semi-permanent colour has no hydrogen peroxide or no permanent colour molecules. So it's a washout colour. Semi-permanents can last up to, let's take a look
Oh,
at
thank you.
they can last anywhere between 6 to 20 shampoos. I guess if you're colouring hair to not, if you're not covering grey in any shape or form, a semi is really good because it just washes out and you're back to your natural hair colour. If you're using a semi because you've just started to see grey hair, so you want to blend them in, I guess the switch over point to permanent would be when you're not getting the coverage that you want from a semi-permanent and you need a more long-lasting colour.
Oh my god, that's a game changer. that is seriously a game changer. Because when I applied it, I was doing roots and then like front and kind of the back, but the back was more just like putting it on my hands and going like that. And now I can really feel like every bit of my hair is covered.
Yeah, and also the thing is, it stops the hair from getting tangled at the back. Because that's my biggest, what people say to me the most is, it ends up like a bird's nest at the back.
Yeah.
I can't see what I'm doing. You know, other people have got great techniques where they use 2 mirrors.
Okay.
So you can
Too
be...
much effort.
So, what I want you to do now is I want to just go a little bit closer to here. Because as we can see, there's already some staining.
Yeah.
And you've not got all the hair on your hairline.
Okay.
So I'd love you just to go back
And just cover that.
and dot a little bit more.
Okay. So should I do that all on or just the top?
Well, I think you've kind of got most of it. There's a little bit in here.
That's a lot. Just
And always kind of take it away from your face a little bit because you don't want to pull the colour onto your skin.
okay. So almost kind of like you're teasing your hair a little bit.
There we go. It's great. And then I would just dry your hands.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
I know, right? Otherwise, this would be an interesting look on camera tomorrow.
And again, it's a big wipe. So what
Yeah.
I would do is I'd use one end
Okay.
for now and then the other end for when you shampoo the colour off.
Got it. Okay. Oh wow, yeah, that just comes right off, doesn't it? And you shouldn't be worried if if you don't get all of it, it does come off right.
Well,
off.
it comes off in the shampoo as
Yeah.
well, but again, the darker shades are more difficult to move than the lighter shades. And then what I would say is I'd just go back with a tiny little bit more barrier cream,
Okay.
just on your hairline. There we go, that's great. And if, when you've done this, if you've got really grey hair at the hairline, a bit like how grey I am there,
Yeah.
I
That
would.
looks good on you, Josh.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Okay, now I just look like I have a skin condition.
Not as
No
bad.
one is seeing this though. You're at home. Usually you're not in Oxford Street colouring your hair. Thank you.
So what I would just say now is if very, very resistant and very grey on the hairline, I'd just go back over again.
Okay.
A little dotting. Just work that in, please, Emma, because you don't want to have any of those little pesky ones poking up after you've gone to all this effort. So that's it.
Okay.
We're going to leave that now for 20 minutes and then we're going to just take it through to the ends a little bit just to soften the
Okay.
ends down a little bit.
Okay.
So can we just wrap up with just a few questions that we've got coming through? So a lot of people are asking how they know whether they're cool or warm and how to find the best shade for them.
So we have a service online at joshwoodcolour.com called Match My Shade. You can upload a photograph, we will help you find the right colour for you. In general, I'm a great believer that most people wear colours, especially lipsticks, any kind of item of clothing that's near the skin. You know, if I was to put, let's say, somebody in a grey or a green and be like, oh, it's not my colour, it makes me look dead. You generally are understanding whether you are warm or cool. It's not an easy one. Expert help is always the best. You know, like you would find a base or a foundation, always looking at, you know, the vein colour, whether you've got blue or green veins, whether you flush pink. These are all indicators to let you know whether you're in the cool family or you're in the warm family. But we can help.
So what would you say Emily is?
Well, Emily's definitely cool.
And how can you tell that?
In what way?
Because her eye colour, she's got very dark eyes, but they're not yellowy or hazel, they've almost got a kind of green undertone. And she has kind of quite, especially when you look here, quite a sallowy, soft, it's not quite olive, but there's definitely that undertone.
But that changes in the summer. So I think I'll say like, because I'll go really dark and then my hair colour that I have now might not necessarily look as good.
I think that's more to do with the darkness than it is to do with the tone, because even
Okay.
if we were to balayage you wouldn't want an orange balayage.
That's very true.
You wouldn't want a copper tone.
Yeah.
You would want something that we've done before, which is like that cool, minky, soft kind of colour.
Okay.
Just two more questions before we let Emily finish processing. So Lisa is asking if the colour is the same quality as professional salon colour, and other people have asked, does it fade any differently to salon colour?
So first and foremost, professional salon hair colour is very different to this hair colour. This formulation has been put together to really help people get amazing results at home. No, it is not the same as professional hair colour. And of course, generally professional hair colour comes with the hands of a professional. It doesn't mean that it's inferior quality, it's actually a really amazing formulation, but it's formulated for ease and result. It doesn't fade any differently than any other colour, including professional hair colour.
And that ties in really nicely to our last question from Alice, which I think a lot of our hairdressing audience are asking. You've got a really successful salon here. Why have you created home hair colour?
All my life I've dedicated, my whole life's been dedicated to colouring hair. And I've had the really great fortune to work with some really amazing product companies. I really feel in today's world with social media, the way people communicate, I'm really not the best at what I can do unless I can have a direct communication with every woman that's colouring her hair, not just women that want to visit a salon. Actually, in the year that we've been launched, our number of people coming into the atelier to get their hair done has grown massively because I've widened the communication that I'm having. I'm not only focusing and talking to women that are salon users, that love going to salons, I'm talking to every woman that has hair colour. And when we did a lot of market research before we launched the range, I really didn't quite understand the number of women that don't go to a salon. They don't feel confident, they maybe don't have that kind of disposable income, they don't have the time, it's never been part of what they've learned going to a salon. So I want to have a direct communication with every single woman that's colouring her hair. And I want that to come from an expert tone of voice, not just a manufacturer. And also I'm really clear at joshuacolour.com. We are super clear. You can't do balayage at home, you can't highlight, very difficult to do a colour change. But if what you're trying to do is blend in grey hair, we can help you with that.
Cool.
Great.
Fabulous.
Thanks so much, Josh and Emily. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.